Okay, so we're going to start here. I've set up our first drill that we're going to work on, and I've got this ruler here. And the biggest thing that we're going to try and figure out right now is a consistent setup position for Colton's golf ball every time. So what we're going to do, I'm going to have Colton get into a really comfortable position, something that he could hit putts for an hour. And we're going to measure the distance between his feet and where that golf ball is, because it should be the same every single time. Like that? Really good putt. Just came up a little short. We're going to go ahead and hit one more in that same spot. Perfect. Ball was rolling end over end. That spot. Go ahead and set up one more time, Colt. A little closer there that time. So I think actually you're good on the 10-inch spot. Yeah. So where this is, should be the top. I got you. Right? Yep. You want essentially there to say here. I got you. That is 10 inches from the center of the ball. The reason that's so important is I think most amateur players change their ball position a lot. So they've got a short putt, they tend to get a little bit closer to the ball. Okay, so that's going to wrap it up for our putting session. That's the first in this 5-lesson series. Colton did really great today. Biggest things we worked on, okay, that setup position. You want to be in that same exact position every single time, okay? Colton's going to work on that over the off season, right? In his house, on the rug, get a ruler out. Make sure you're hitting putts from 10 inches every single time, or whatever your distance is. Make sure it's the same and it's consistent. On your short putts, don't get closer to the ball, and your long putts, don't get further away. You can use your feet to gauge the distance, but that's not changing how far away you are from the golf ball. So that's really what we focused on today. Colton did a really good job. We've got his stroke looking really good. He's going to work on it over the off season. He's going to come out in the spring. He's going to be playing really well. He's going to have the confidence to know that he can hit really nice straight putts, and he's in the same setup position every time. You've got that confidence on the putting green. It leads into all facets of your game. So that's why we start here. Start with your smallest swing. Make sure your setup's good here. That's going to lead into everything else that you do on the golf course. So remember, do things the same way in your practice as you would on the golf course, and it's going to transfer better. Work on some things over the off season, come out in the spring, playing really good. Okay, back here again with Colton. This is our second of a 5-lesson series. Last week we worked on putting, and this week we're going to work on the short game, not just chipping. A lot of people think the short game is really just hitting chip shots, and that's not at all what it is. You want to have an arsenal of shots when you're around the green, so you can have the confidence to know that you've selected the proper shot for that situation. Where we're going to start here is actually putting from off the green. Jack Nicklaus said one of the best things Arnold Palmer ever told him was, if you're 5 to 10 feet off the green, just putt it. Okay? 10 times out of 10, you're going to get that ball on the green. You cannot say that with a wedge, especially most amateur players. They're going to take their 60 degree or their 56 degree, and they're going to blade it right over the green. And they're going to be scared to hit any chip shot after that. So play the numbers game. This is a more consistent option. So we're going to work on here just a little bit briefly. We're just going to hit some putts from off the green. Go ahead, Colt. Keeping a similar philosophy to what we were working on last week, where we're going to let our feet kind of dictate how big of a putting stroke we want to take. So coming through a little bit of a fringe, I'd say spread your feet out just a little bit more. That's going to give you that little bit more momentum to get through that fringe grass. Nice. Okay. Any putt of any significant length, you're just trying to get it inside your circle. So Colton's doing that really well. We're going to get all of these putts up and down. See here, are very consistent. This is a very consistent option for your short game. Okay, when you're 5 to 10 feet off the green, just go ahead and putt it. You're going to make a lot more. Your next shot's going to be a lot closer to the hole than if you're trying to hit chip shots from here. It's also going to make your practice more efficient. You practice this for 5 or 10 minutes, you'll be really good. You can practice with a wedge for hours, days, weeks, months, years, and not be very good. I've seen it. Make your practice time more efficient. Do things like this. Give yourself an arsenal of shots from around the green. Okay, so that wraps it up for the second segment in our lesson series here. Jeremy Curry, Colton Donahue, working on your short game today. Remember, just off the green, go ahead and putt it. A little bit further back, bump and run with the hybrid. It's easy. From there, learn how to utilize your wedge, okay? Standard chip shot, ball back, hands forward, weight forward. If you need to get it up in the air, play it forward in your stance. Work on a few things from the bunker, and you'll have a very nice arsenal of shots to choose from around the green. Welcome back to our 5-part lesson series. Jeremy Curry, Colton Donahue. This is week 3. We're working on the full swing this week. Next week we're going to do on-course playing lesson, and we'll finish up with a club fitting after that. Make sure that Colton's clubs are good to go when he comes out in the spring. Make sure he's got everything that he needs in his set. So we've warmed up a little bit, hit some wedges. You always want to start with your smaller swings and work your way up from there. The analogy I give is like driving a stick shift. You don't start in 6th gear, right? But most people come out, they grab their driver, they start in 6th gear, and then they work their way back down. Your body's not warmed up yet, just like your car. It's not warmed up yet. You got to start in 1st gear, start with a small swing, start with a wedge, something like that. Get yourself warmed up, and then you can start to move up through the gears. We've got a mid-iron now since we have started with that wedge. Got the mid-iron. We're going to hit some shots here. Work on some things in Colton's game. We'll work on some different check down positions and see what we need to do throughout the lesson. Colton's hitting the ball pretty well, so we're not going to make too many changes. Some of the things we're going to work on, some visual techniques, how we can work on the pre-swing and post-swing routine going into the off season. Make sure that's dialed in as we come into next year. So that's what we're going to work on most, is a lot of visualization today, making sure Colton knows where his feet are set, making sure he knows that he's aligned at the target that he wants to start the ball on. If you can do that, you're on the advanced scale as far as your playability goes. You know, you're not having to think too much about your golf swing. You're picking your target and you're committing to it. So that's what we're going to work on. So I'll just let Colton go ahead and start hitting a few, and we'll go from there. We've got hole in one. So we played 7 holes, used eight clubs, 3/4 of his bag. Really good way to do a lot of practice right there. Don't get stuck hitting one club for, you know, the entirety of your practice session, or even hitting it 10, 15, 20 times in a row. You're never going to do it that way on the golf course, so why do it here on the practice ring? Mix things up, give yourself different targets, different distances, and your practice is going to be much more effective. We're just going to hit a few more wedges to warm back down, get our car back in 1st gear before we finish up. All right, here for our 5th and final lesson, Jeremy Curry, Colton Donahue. This will be the last of our 5-lesson series for level 3 PGA videos. This will be the last of the videos that I have to do, so that's exciting. We're going to do this fitting inside. We've got a lie board here. We've got some face tape and different things that we're going to use to make sure Colton's set is perfect, ready to go. If there's any adjustments that we need to make, we can do that going into the new season here. So we're going to go ahead, use a 6-iron. We're going to make sure his clubs are good. We're going to use some other clubs that I've got to see if the lie or the length is going to make any difference on where he's hitting the ball on the club face, and see what kind of improvements we need to make. I think that worked really well. got him a little bit closer to the golf ball. One of those things that we worked on in our first lesson, actually, with the ruler on the putting green. Work on that over the winter time and make sure that your setup is consistent, not only consistent every time, but consistent to where you hit the golf ball, where you strike it on the putter face. So that's something, a little small thing that we can work on to make some improvements in our short game and on the putting green going into next season. You can see as he moved a little closer, hit it right in the middle of the club, still really square as it came through, so that looks really good. So that's all we got. Level 3 is done. PGA PGM is done. Colton's helped me out a lot. I appreciate it, man.
Absolutely.
We're going to go celebrate a little bit.